All of you guys out there, have you ever been talking to a girl and she says or does something that instantly sets off a red flag in your gut? Maybe it's how she talks, what she values, or just something she lets slip out, and you swear you're overthinking, but deep down, you know you caught something. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Well, you're not crazy. Last weekend, we asked women if they get the gut feeling when a guy is not for them. Today, it's the guy's turn to answer, and here's what they had to say.
Do men get a gut feeling that a woman is not for them? I'm going to say absolutely. Whenever I'm going out, I'm not looking for a girl that I'm trying to have a long-term thing with, you know what I'm saying? And that's just an immediate gut feeling, you know? Any girl that's going out and getting drunk and partying and all that, I'm not trying to have a long-term thing with her, you know what I'm saying?
True.
I want a girl that is chill, laid back, don't need to go out, do all that stuff, close with God for sure, and supports me. I'm not trying to meet anybody out here that I don't want a relationship with.
I would say I totally agree with what he had to say, because I got shorty waiting back at the crib right now. Doesn't like to go out a lot, but she's very chill, and we have a great time. I have a gut feeling that I can trust her, and she's not going to do some crazy stuff that's going to make me lose that trust, you know?
Y'all are ace. Y'all are ace.
So my reaction at the end of the video is pretty spot on to what I have to say about this topic. So like I said, last weekend we went out and we asked women if they get a gut feeling when it comes to, dating a guy. If they just met a guy out at a bar, at a club, whatever the situation, do they get a gut feeling that he's not it? And this weekend we went out and asked guys the same exact question. And that's what we're going to dive into today. My response on this topic, as a dude, if I'm talking to a woman, do I know in my heart of heart, in my gut, that something is just not right, that she's not, I'm just not into her? I would definitely say 100%. Now, I don't want to re-speak on everything we talked about last weekend, but what I will say is these guys kind of hit it nail on the head. For the most part, and I don't know if women look at this the same way. Maybe I do need to actually have a woman dating coach on the podcast, because I've recently gotten a lot of emails really throughout my whole tenure doing this podcast for fun. And for whatever reason, I just, I have so many other things that are going on in life that I'm so busy doing that I never have had a woman come onto the podcast. So maybe I actually need to dive into that. But the reason I mention this, guys, is I don't know if women look at it the same way, but I think a lot of guys do. A lot of guys, and we talked about it last weekend, who have morals, they're disciplined, they have hunger, they have big goals in their life. For the most part, they want a girl who's very low key. And I think this is one of those situations. I don't want to say opposites attract, because I don't necessarily think that that's true. But what I will say is, if you are exuding something, right? If you're exuding a certain level of confidence, a certain degree of moral clarity, if you're exuding a higher level of said trait, sometimes it's better to have somebody that grounds you and brings you back down to that level. The reason I say this, I'm going to give you an example of somebody that I actually was seeing in the past. And it sounds like I've dated a lot of people because I always reference this person I was seeing. Sometimes it means I was seeing them, I went on one date, or sometimes it means, maybe we dated, but I actually have not dated a lot. I've had single digit amount of people that I've really, been in long-term relationships with. But the reason I say this is, there was one person that I wasn't necessarily in a fully committed relationship with. We were seeing each other for about a month or so. And she did ask me one question. I told her a lot of my personality, a lot of what I do revolves around social media. It doesn't mean I use social media. It doesn't mean I'm mindlessly scrolling all the time. It doesn't mean I'm interacting with it, but I do post and ghost a lot. I have my own company, my own automotive type company. And for that reason, yeah, I do have to post social media. I do have to, respond to different engagements and things like that. For the podcast, of course, it's the entire culture of it. It's essentially that. For the car channel, of course, yes, you have to do that. You have to interact with your community. And I love it. I'm able to influence and impact people in so many ways, whether it's positive. I'd like to think it's hopefully not negative. But I'm able to impact people, man. I've had millions and millions of views across this platform, across the car channel, across the business page. Things aren't always so one-dimensional. And the reason I preface all of this and talk about all of this is she actually asked me about it. She said, oh, I don't really use social media at all. And I immediately responded with, that's good. I'm glad, right? I'm glad you're not out there. I only do it because, it's a character that I kind of have to play, but it's not who I'm playing with you. With you, I'm me. I'm authentic. I'm Izzy. I'm, the guy that you're talking to now. I'm not putting on any character. This is me. And that's the person that you're dating. Everything else is kind of just a character. And it's who I am, but it's a character. And I'm coming back to why I'm bringing this up. Just hang with me. It's important. It's important. I bring all this up because I was saying it's good that you're not out there. And she asked me, is that something you look for? Do you look for a partner who uses social media, who's big into it also, like an influencer type, which I hate that word. But I immediately responded with no. I do not want another girl that's big into social media, man, on that influencer status. I wouldn't necessarily be opposed, but when you have somebody doing that, it just incites a certain degree of what can you do for me. I went on a date with a girl one time and she was big into like a food network. She had a food channel or a food where she would like review and try different restaurants. And she was trying to ask me for different tips and advice on how to grow her channel on the first date. And I got into YouTube when it was a loser thing to do, when it was like, oh, what are you doing? Get a job. But I and now it's like you're able to actually, carve a path for yourself, a great path. But it's like at the time you weren't. So I'm like, who are you to go on a first date with me asking me these questions? But I say that because if somebody's big into social media, if they're out there on the streets, in the club, at the bars, things like that, a lot of guys don't want that. I don't want that. And the reason she asked that is she said, oh, okay, so you want a girl that like can ground you. Do you feel like it's a grounding thing? Like you're always interacting with humans. You have people commenting. You have people talking to you. You see a million notifications on your phone all day, every day. It's like bing, 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 like constant, guys. I wish I could I actually don't wish I could turn it off, but I know it's nowhere near the degree of some of these other even more, people who are actually famous in that degree. But I get a ton of notifications, of course. And I love it because that's the path I've carved for myself. But I don't want my woman to be like that. And a lot of guys share that perspective. A lot of guys, they don't want their girl to be out there. And if they meet a woman out at the bars or the clubs or places like that, I'm not going to be the type of guy that speaks on like if you meet her at a bar, she's automatically like trashy, this, that. Because how many times have you been at like a company dinner and you end up all going to like a dive bar or something? Or how many, this is a common occurrence. There's definitely different themes and different levels. Now, if you're seeing a girl, like, you're in like the hood, and you see some preppy girl out in the hood, then it's like, I don't know about all that. I don't know about, maybe for some people that's good, but I don't know about all that, King. I don't know about all that. But I'm saying that because a lot of dudes, they don't want a woman who's out there. And something that, these guys said immediately off the rip, he said, absolutely we get a gut feeling. He said, yeah, I'm going to say absolutely. Whenever I'm going out, I'm not looking for a girl to have a long-term relationship with. And he was pretty upfront about that. He said he just wants a girl who's chill and laid back and doesn't go out, doesn't party, doesn't do those things. If you're around, and guys, I've said this a million times. I said it in the last episode. I'm sorry if you have to rehear it. I said it so many times. I'm not saying because you club or go to a bar, you're some degenerate. That's not what I'm saying. I go to bars sometimes to have fun. I've been to clubs, albeit I haven't been to clubs in years, like legit, like a club in years. I here and there when I'm not working, here and there. Most Saturday nights I'm working, but here and there I'll go to a bar if it's with the right friend group. And I'm not going to dog on anybody who goes to those, areas. But what I'm going to say is you are going to attract people of a lower vibration. And even if you are not on that lower vibration, just by being in correlation with it, people on a higher vibration are not going to want to be associated. Picture this. If you're going out and you're seeing somebody at the club, at the bar, whatever, you're seeing all this craziness go on, fights, people pushing, people trashy, people hitting on, grabbing up on girls, this, that. And if you're seeing this and you see some really cute girl across the ways, in your head, you're going to think one of two things. Number one, make your move. Or number two, if she's willing to be associated with this, I don't really want to be associated with her. I'm only here because it's this like frat thing, or this my bachelor party, or it's got promoted at work to a new corporate position. And people think that way. Everyone always thinks in their head, point the finger at them, but I have my own reason. And it's so common. Girls do it all the time. Guys do it all the time. Girls are like, that guy, ew, but look, he's out at the club and the bars. Like, no, don't give him the time of day. He's just a fling. But the guy in his head, he's like, no, I'm just here because it's my corporate this, and that. And all I'm going to say is in correlation to that, people automatically become not interested in one another. I don't really think it's right. Don't think it's wrong. Just being objective here. But a lot of people don't want a long-term relationship with someone who's out there. And it's one of the top reasons. I posted this clip on Instagram, the one I just showed you, where I did say, the one that we're talking about right now. And the caption that I put is wholesome and religious women, FTW, for the win. And then it has an emoji of a coffee cup, some books, some yoga, a little sun emoji, and then a trophy. And the reason I said that, guys, even if you're not particularly religious, even if you're not like a devout, like Catholic, Christian, Hindu, etc., whatever, Muslim, even if you're not devout, one of the big pros, one of the big advantages to religion or being religious is you often meet people in the same sphere of influence. You meet people from church. You meet people at these wholesome events. You oftentimes meet people at these amazing places. Like you meet wholesome people. It's some of the most happiest, most absolute loving, caring relationships I've seen, where they get engaged and they're lifelong partners and they're absolutely like, it's just such a beautiful relationship, have been a lot of my buddies who are like Christian or Catholic or etc. And they like met each other at church at like 16, 17, 18, went to college, 19, they were dating 20, they graduated college, and at 23, 24, they get like engaged, 25, 26, 27 passes, and they have kids. But the denominators, they always meet each other at that, usually through faith. And I'm not trying to push religion down anybody's throat. That's not what I'm doing here. But what I am saying is a lot of these, a lot of the people that you might be craving, a lot of the people a lot of these qualities that you might want in somebody who does have morals, someone who does have discipline, someone who is hardworking, someone who believes you should be valued, somebody who does the right thing even when no one's around to watch. These like different virtues and these different morals often are tied to different things, like faith. Like people who are religious, in my opinion, and I'm not even well, that's a different topic. But even then, I'm like, I can acknowledge that it serves a net positive. The same way, like, no matter what your reservations are for, like, maybe even the military or law enforcement or, these different career paths or avenues, despite whatever you see in the news or politics or this, that, those people, that's a different sect of people. Those industries like attract a different type of person. Usually the type of person, like I said, with discipline, morals, does the right thing. That's typically the type of person you're going to attract. And those are also typically people that you'll attract when you follow a faith. And the reason I say that is because oftentimes we want all these qualities, but we're looking in the wrong places. Like if you're dating a girl who's attending, like, I'm not bashing, I'm just being honest. If she's attending like 1,000,001 protests and rallies and this and that and whatever and blah, blah, blah and this and, she's at the club and, she's in a sorority and going to frat party doing this. If that's the type of person you're dating, they're probably still, a great person, but there's going to be certain qualities about that you just don't jive with, that you're not going to jive with long term. And what this guy is saying is, hey, if I'm looking for a long-term partner, it's not going to be out here. I want a girl, and he said it himself right here. Listen.
I'm not trying to have a long-term thing with her. You know what I'm saying? I want a girl that like is chill, laid back, don't need to go out, do all that stuff. Close with God for sure.
He said, I get an immediate gut feeling, and I don't want a girl that's going out partying, getting drunk, none of that. Long-term, I want a girl that's chill, laid back, doesn't need to go out, and close with God. That was his biggest thing. And I'm not trying to push religion down your throat, but I am saying if you do tend to date someone religious, they'll probably have some of those morals that you're looking for. Supports him, yeah. And now let's go ahead and get into what the second guy has to say.
I would say I totally agree with what he had to say, because I got Shorty waiting back at the crib right now. Doesn't like to go out a lot, but she's very chill, and we have a great time. I have a gut feeling that I can trust her, and she's not going to do some crazy stuff that's going to make me lose that trust,
Y'all are ace.
I'm not going to lie, that's the funniest. I don't think I've ever really heard a tall, blonde, 6 foot, whatever white dude ever say my shorty's waiting back at the crib. So those, I don't know why that caught me off guard. There was a silence. I kind of looked at him like, interesting. But hey, man, all the power to him. His girl, while he's out, I don't know what he's doing out, whatever. But while he's out doing his thing, his girl's at home. And I'm not saying your girl has. I'm a big believer in bro, yeah, go out, have fun with your person. Dude, I'm all about that. I find that so great when you can hold your girl's hand, go to a bar, get tipsy, drink together, have a crazy adventure, end up some random part of town, making out somewhere, and then you're in the car making out more, and then you Uber, you do that. Dude, those are such fun nights, man. So I'm not saying, oh, my girl has to stay at home, and nah, bro. That's some hermit crab. That's too, no, I don't really believe that. But I do think that it can be give or take. I don't think you both got to be crazy out there. I don't know what he's doing out. That's fun, though. He's having a good time. And he was real. He was like, my girl, she goes out, not all the time, not partying like crazy. But you know what? I have a gut feeling that at the end of the day, I can trust her, and she's not going to do anything crazy behind my back. And those are famous last words. Jesus Christ, if you've ever been cheated on before, those are some famous last words right there. But hey, man, you can't think like that negatively. You got to keep the door open, and you got to give people benefit of the doubt in that way. But I think that's great, man. I think overall, to sum up the entirety of everything that we talked about here, I think the overall theme of this episode is that having a person that balances you out or grounds you is, I think, something beautiful, man. I think if you're a crazy firecracker of a person, you could have a lot of fun with someone else who's like that. But at the end of the day, that's too much fire, Sometimes you need somebody that grounds you. Sometimes you need I don't want to get into horoscopes, Jesus Christ. But, there's something to that, to the elements, wind and ground, or wind and rocks, one kind of grounds the other. Fire and water, you need somebody to be a little bit more level-headed and cool. But sometimes you need somebody passionate and driven and fiery. And you kind of need, I think, having those qualities. I think a lot of people look at things like that no, we don't mesh because we're not the same. But I don't think we have to all be the same. I think to ask for everyone to be the same is some I think that's some dystopian. I think that's the wrong worldview. I think for you to look at the person next to you and be like, I want you to look exactly like me and be exactly like me. That's weird, man. You need everyone to be different. You need everybody to respect our differences, but you need differences, And I think if you're a fiery type person, maybe you need somebody who's more level-headed. If you're kind of a cold person who doesn't show a lot of emotion, I don't know, maybe you need somebody who shows a lot of emotion so you can learn what that's like to fill that gap and be more outwards with your emotion. And I don't know, man. I think it's the wrong worldview to be I don't want someone, or I only want somebody who's like me. I think the person that you're dating should kind of cancel you out, or, not cancel you out. We'll say fill in what you're lacking. And I think it's healthy, to have a person who goes out and does these things. But I think as a guy, you do get a gut feeling. You 100% get a gut feeling if someone is for you or not for you. And I should have talked about this a lot sooner in the episode, if I'm being honest with you. But I want to bring up this important point that I'm going to talk about a lot more next week or on the next episode. But I was talking to someone recently. This was the same person I was talking about earlier. Let me just get that straight. I don't want you thinking I'm just out here, because I don't. I'm very I do not pay women any attention because I'm very locked into my work. Sometimes they pay me attention, and I like a woman to make a move on me. It's a little, show you're interested. Show you're interested. But anyways, I was seeing someone, and there were some red flags that she brought up. There was some red flag behavior that she did. She said something like the first couple days we were talking. I was like, that's kind of a weird thing to bring up, 2 days into talking to someone. And I just took note of it. I was like, hey, what do you mean by this exactly? Let's talk about this. And then, we talked on the phone, and we kind of sorted it out. And I was like, okay, I think we both kind of agree on this. And then as things went on, she kept saying things that were of the same, on the same level as what she said before. I was like, this is a common theme. You're looking for this thing. I don't want to say what the thing was, but she was looking for this thing. And I was like, well, that's kind of weird. We've been seeing each other for a month. She brought up this thing again. We haven't even had sex. We haven't done any of that. But you're bringing up this theme again. I'm like, so you really want this subconsciously, and you're trying to plant the seed. And by the third or fourth time she did it, I was like, hey, respectfully, I think we want different things out of our partner. I want my partner to value me for me, and you want your partner for what they can do for you. And I'll leave that gap to be filled in whatever you can think that is. But yeah, it was really, it wasn't a great feeling. And I called it out, but I got a gut feeling within the first couple days, this person is they have an angle. And I just kept the gut feeling. I was very respectful to kind of dissect or, divulge in conversation. What do you mean by that exactly? It's a little, the Drewski. I don't know if you guys know who Drewski is, but the Drewski meme. What do you mean by that? But, yeah, man. And I think you got to trust your gut and have that feeling in the back of your mind, or, you got to have that feeling. Don't let it go completely. But I think it's important to take note of that, or at least conversate and communicate and be like, what was that? And I think a lot of guys feel the same way. There's a good quote by Chris Rock. It's the only things in this life that are loved unconditionally is women, dogs, and children. Men are only loved under the condition that we provide something. And it sounds far-fetched, and I don't think it's always true, but I think to a degree, women are kind of assessing what can a guy, provide for me or do for me. Not that they all want to use you, but they are kind of thinking what is he an emotional support system? Is he this? Is he that? There's always some sort of you have to give something to be of that said value. And it's really rough. And I'll say a lot of women don't see that because they can't, just like we don't see a lot of things they go through. But that's a real reality. It's why men's suicide rates are so high. It's why men struggle with a lot of depression and other things, Not to say be a bitch, because don't be a bitch. But it's real. It's real, man. It's real. We all have those things that we go through. But I think it's to say that, we do get a gut feeling when we're being used for something. We do get a gut feeling in the back of our mind when people have an angle. And a lot of guys will look past it because they'll see a girl as beautiful or this or that, or that fear of being alone, that scarcity mindset that we talked about in last week's episode, which you definitely should go ahead and listen to, episode 103. Just literally click the last episode that we recorded. It's that one. But the scarcity mindset at times, can do that. It can make you want to stick with somebody even though you might know that they're not great for you. And I think end all be all, you should trust your gut but communicate it. So yeah, guys do get a gut feeling when a girl is not for us. We definitely get a gut feeling when something's awry. We get a feeling when something's wrong. We get a feeling when there's something there. And sometimes it can drive yourself crazy because it can seem like nothing's there. But if you've noticed something, God, the universe, whatever, has pointed something out to you because it's worth taking note of. So don't think you're crazy. Conversate, communicate, talk about it openly like I did with the person I was seeing. And if you catch yourself finding that theme 3 or 4 times and it's really upsetting you and they're still doing it, well, then maybe that, something isn't nothing. So, yeah, I don't know. Hopefully this was able to give you guys even a shred of value. Do men get a feeling when a woman's not for us? We definitely do. We also get an even stronger feeling when she is for us, when she is a real one, when she is a ride or die, when she is worth investing everything and anything into and going to any point of the planet, any point of the universe, even giving up your own life to protect hers. We also get that feeling too. And I hope that everybody here listening meets somebody in their life. I hope everybody here meets a woman, meets a guy, just meets someone in their life that they can love and meets someone in their life that makes them feel loved, which is the most important thing. We all crave, we all want, we all want so hard. We want someone to love us, but the same feeling you have that you want someone to love you, you got to be able to love other people in that way. So don't always think about what can a relationship do for you. Think about what can you do for your relationship. And that's all I got to say on this topic, guys. But until the next one, thank you guys so much for listening. Hit the 5-star rating. Please, please, please. It means so much to me. And catch y'all in the next one. Peace out.